Thanks for joining us. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon of First Hour Top Stories. Peter Obi joins Occupy National Assembly protest over e-transmission of election results. Senate fixes emergency plenary amid debate over e-transmission of results. Former Sports Minister Solomon Dalong believes ADC has people who can defeat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. On insecurity, 3 children abducted in Ebonyi. Police begin investigation. Outside Nigeria, 2 babies among 53 people dead or missing after boat capsized off Libya. And in sports, Seahawks soar to Super Bowl win over Patriots. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. First on the news, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, on Monday joined the Occupied National Assembly protest in Abuja. Protesters on Monday converged on the entrance of the National Assembly in Abuja. The protest is against the backdrop of the Senate's position on the electronic transmission of election results. There was a heavy security presence at the scene, with personnel drawn from the Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC). Although the Senate has issued several clarifications of a report that it rejected electronic transmission of results, the protesters insist that lawmakers must be explicit by including the phrase real-time electronic transmission in the proposed legislation. Members of the civil society organizations, a handful of opposition African Democratic Congress ADC members, and some women's groups are gathered at the entrance of the National Assembly for the protest. The police have already barricaded the entrance of the National Assembly. Some members of the civil society group who spoke to journalists disclosed that the protesters do not intend to enter the National Assembly premises, as the protest is expected to take place mainly at the entrance. The protesters began their march from the Federal Secretariat, heading towards the National Assembly gate. There has been an outrage after the Senate last week passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Amendment Bill 2026 through the third reading. In passing the bill, the upper chamber, however, did not approve the proposed amendment to Clause 6, subsection 3 of the bill, which sought to make the electronic transmission of election results mandatory. The rejected provision would have required presiding officers of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to electronically transmit results from each polling unit to the IREF portal in real time after the prescribed form EC&A had been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by candidate. Instead, the Senate adopted the existing provision of the Electoral Act, which states that the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including the total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballots, in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. Meanwhile, the Senate would hold an emergency plenary session on Tuesday, February 10, 2026. In a notice sent by the clerk of the Senate, Emmanuel Odo, the lawmakers were directed to convene at the National Assembly complex on the instruction of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Odo urged all senators to attend the emergency sitting. No reason was stated for the meeting, but the development comes amid debate about the e-transmission of election results after the Electoral Act Amendment Bill passed the third reading at the Senate. The lawmakers had adjourned plenary after then. Clause 60, subsection 30 of the Electoral Act Bill is connected with the electronic transmission of results. On Wednesday, the Senate retained the provision of the electronic transfer of results as contained in the 2022 Electoral Act. Since the development, the Senate has come under fire However, some of its members have clarified that the bill enjoyed the support of a majority of the senators. A farmers pool requires a collective effort. Dalongo said this during an interview with Shenwo Kimbaloye, attributed his enthusiasm to the caliber of politicians on parade in the ADC. The ADC, which was last year adopted the opposition coalition as its platform, houses some top politicians. Critics argue that the ADC may implode after its presidential primary, given the array of politicians on the party's membership roster. The APC, which enjoys the membership of 30 governors and an overwhelming majority in the National Assembly, has waved off claims that the ADC will challenge them in next year's election. However, Dalong said in the opposition party are united in the pursuit of their purpose. Take a listen.
Anybody dancing on a banana peel unconsciously will only realize when he's the ground. And that is the position of the APC. The APC has no reason to be confident of winning this election. As to the question of who does the ADC has to challenge Bola Tinubu, let me tell you to this line of thought. If people who belong to some of the political parties could move out and form the coalition, then it means they are determined. There are people who are involved in the to challenge Tinubu. And of course, Tinubu is not a stranger to any of us in opposition. We know him too well, know his strategy too well. We know everything about him. That may have been with him in the revolutionary politics of Ghana as far back as 1993. So there is nothing new about what they will do that we do not know. But who will challenge him will be determined by the Nigerian people through the membership of the African Democratic Congress. We are going to conduct a transparent primary, and we have also resolved that whosoever wins a transparent primaries will be the person who all of us to challenge Tinubu. So challenging Tinubu is not an individual issue, it's not the issue of the candidate, it's the issue of the party. That resolution has been issued through. So I think we have so many people to challenge Tinubu. Even myself can determine to contest election and I will challenge Tinubu. So the list of those who are contesting election to challenge Tinubu is not yet over. They are still counting.
Challenging him is one thing, defeating him is another. That those who will say it's probably one of the biggest political strategies that you have around living. And after the ilks of Buhari, Sardauna, Awolowo, Tinubu stands very tall as a political heavyweight and giant in the Nigerian political scene. That it will take a lot to be able to defeat him because of the hands that he has across the Niger and the weight that he pulls as a sitting president and the leader of the ruling party. The question is, who can defeat him?
Tinubu is the dwarf in Nigerian political history, and he should not be compared with great leaders like Sardauna and Awolowo, because great political leaders leave legacies. They serve the people. They work for the people. If Tinubu is a great strategist, as it is being speculated, let us see this translated into action. Tinubu cannot manage insecurity. Tinubu cannot manage the economy. Tinubu cannot manage even common palliatives that were rolled out for the purpose of augmenting some of the economic.
Moving on, the Ebonyi State Police Command has confirmed the abduction of 3 children by suspected kidnappers. The kidnap occurred on Saturday at Onwegu, opposite the Nkewu military cantonment gate in Abakaliki local government area of Ebonyi State. Police authorities said the parents of the abducted children reported the incident to them. The spokesman of the Ebonyi Police Command, Joshua Okandu, said the 3 children included one boy aged 2 and 2 girls aged 4 and 2 years. As of Sunday, the police said that no ransom demand has been made and no arrests have been recorded yet. The commanders assured the public that they are actively investigating the matter and have launched a rescue operation to bring the children home safely. This incident has caused a wave of concern throughout the state, particularly given its proximity to a military facility. Still on insecurity story, reports from Koro community in Ekiti local government area of Kwara State indicate that the area is currently under attack by bandits. At least one person has been confirmed dead, although the full scale of the casualties remains unclear as of the time of this broadcast. Details surrounding the attack are still emerging and security authorities have yet to release an official statement. Koro shares a boundary with Egbe in Yagba West local government area of Kogi State, heightening concerns among residents of neighboring communities. Local authorities and residents have been advised to avoid the area and remain vigilant as the situation continues to unfold. Further details will be provided as more information becomes available. Recorded on February 3 and 4, 2026, terrorists attacked the villages of Woro and Nuku in Kayama local government area of Kwara State. The attackers, believed to be linked to Boko Haram factions, carried out mass shootings, arson and kidnappings. Report indicates that at least 162 people were killed, with over 50 injured and 38 kidnapped. Entire homes and community structures were burned. The Federal Road Safety Corps (FRC) has warned motorists, including drivers of security and government vehicles, against driving against traffic on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, stressing that offenders will face penalties as repair works continue on Kara Bridge section of the road. The Lagos Sector Commander of the FRC, Kehinde Hamzat, gave the warning on Monday at the site of a traffic gridlock along the corridor. Reacting to concerns that some security and government vehicles were still driving one way despite restrictions, Hamzat described the act as unacceptable and an abuse of office. According to him, the consequences imposed by the agencies involved are often more severe than penalties issued by the FRC. His comment came amid heavy traffic congestion following ongoing repairs on the Kara Bridge. Last week, the FRC announced that repair works on the road would last at least 2 months. The Corps explained that damaged sections of the road had been responsible for several crashes, particularly as motorists attempted to dodge oncoming vehicles. To hasten completion, 2 expansion joints are being repaired simultaneously using faster curing materials. The FRC also identified overloading as a major contributor to road damage, noting that weight bridges will be deployed to curb the practice. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll go straight to our analysis segment where I have Peter Anosike, a current affairs analyst. He's also an academic doctor with PhD in consulting and profit management from Brenner University in the state of Delaware in the US. He is the author of the book Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. Dr. Anosike, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the bigger story of the time, obviously, is the protest going on at the National Assembly over the transmission of a result. Obviously, gotten a national discourse. Obviously, Nigerians are bearing their mind with a protest at the National Assembly in order to pressure the Senate into that clause at the National Assembly. And of course, the one of the biggest story emerging from that protest is the fact that the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, now in ADC, African Democratic Congress, Peter Obi, also joining in the protest. What's your take on that?
Well, it is a legitimate process because power belongs to the people. Understand? And it is the people that will decide what happened. The Senate has been deceiving us for the past 2.5 months, understand? For 2.5 years. Akpabio have been treating Nigerians as nobody. So it is high time he is checkmated, understand? Because Nigeria has learned one thing from this 10th Assembly, that it is not what is passed that is being gazetted and what is being implemented. So I appreciated the Dasuki from Sokoto, who for the first time revealed the trick that National Assembly has been playing on Nigerians. Because without this revelation, we would not have known what has been going on over the years. Now after Gazette, people will now take seriously to ensure that it was what was passed that was gazetted. So in this, there's a very big difference between the electronic transmission. Mind you, in 2023, a month after the presidential result, transmission was still going on. A month after. So, and this is what they will tell you that to go to court, because there are a lot of gaps there that you cannot easily fill. So for me, it is imperative that the writing is done and that it is put in black and white. Understand me?
And not leave it to interpretation.
And not leave it to interpretation by corrupt and complicit judges. And the P2B joining it is very, very interesting because he is going to contest and he wants to make sure that the writing is done. It's not maybe sitting in the comfort of his room while other people are protesting. At the end of the day, he will come to inherit the struggle of other people. So it's good that he is there and joining in the protest. Mind you, in 2014, Buhari and Tinubu occupied Ojota. Buhari, Tinubu, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, Tunde Bakari and others. All of them
during the Jonathan administration.
All of them occupied Ojota. Understand? So P2B is not doing anything new. Others have done that before him. Others have done that before him. So it is right that he is there and joining the other well-meaning people of Nigeria to make sure that the right thing is done.
I mean, in the last few months, we've heard different people come out to say, including even some top politicians, saying that Peter Obi actually won the last election, but it was rigged against him. And but the big question issue was now like they couldn't really prove it because obviously elections are very difficult to prove, or they proved it but not to the judge's satisfaction. Depends on who you ask.
Which judge's satisfaction?
Well, but
we know our judges. We know our.
But the point is, when this results are transmitted live in real time, there will be little room. I mean, we know it can still be rigged, but the rigging will be very, very low. There'll be little room for manipulation.
What happened in 2023? There were real-time transmission going on. But when they realized that this is not going the way they want it,
there was now glitch.
Now come, understand me? So there were real-time transmission going on in 2023. But when they realized that this is not what we want, that's how that glitch come. So something was switched off. Understand? 3 elections going on at the same time. House of Representatives was going, Senate was going, now presidential stopped. Why?
Why the others were still?
Why the other? So So when people say that P2B win, understand me? For me, even his enemies, then El-Rufai and others have equally said that. Understand? But the issue is, in Nigeria, it's no more people that determines who wins. It is now the judiciary and INEC,
That
which
determines
is
who wins.
which is very, very unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. No, but here's another question, though, and this is now bringing into giving legitimacy to notions that ADC appears to be the only opposition party, even though they have their own issues. I mean, we have PDP, we have Labour Party, we have so many. The fact that of all the opposition parties in Nigeria, Peter Obi from the ADC happens to be the only person joining that protest. That shows that there's a problem with opposition in Nigeria.
Well, the issue
Because this situation will affect everybody, both the ruling party and the several opposition parties we have in this country.
well, some people are in this contest want to upgrade their CV. Understand?
True.
Former presidential aspirant, former presidential candidate. Only few are contesting. Only few can be competitive, and one of them is P2B. Understand me? And one of them is P2B. So he has to be there. Because P2B, as we speak, is the most popular, most credible Nigerian politician.
And the question now is, ADC, for all the different speculations and controversies going on, that who is going to emerge the presidential primary, and some permutation pointing to more of an Atiku ADC presidential ticket. One would have expected that someone like Atiku should be in, the protest too, considering we don't know who the ADC presidential candidate will be.
Well, the issue is this. When you were introducing this news, you say that even though they have ADC has their own problems, understand? Anywhere there are 2-3 people, there must be problem. Anywhere there are 2-3 problems, anywhere there are 2 or 3 people, there must be problem. So what happens there is a maturity in resolving that problem. So ADC is an association of different people, different interests, different background, and so on. So they are bound to be problems. APC is also deep in their own problems. Understand? APC is also deep in their own problems, but because we have corrupt judges, that even when you sue APC, judges don't bring the matter up in court. It will now be seen as if they are not being sued. Understand? So every party, every human being, there's problem everywhere. Understand? So the issue is, one, age is not on Atiku's side. Atiku is almost 80.
Okay.
And so age is not on his side.
But that wouldn't matter, though, because constitutionally there's nothing against.
No, I'm talking of the protest. I'm talking I'm talking that's of the protest.
Okay.
So, and
I mean, if he can't join a protest, how do you rule a complex country like Nigeria?
You must not join a protest to rule. Understand? You must not join. So, the most important thing is ADC is represented by a prominent figure in the person of P2B.
Okay.
So that's the most important thing.
Okay. Now, let's pivot to what former Minister of Sports Solomon Dalong said when we played the track up not too long ago, when he said there are people in ADC that can defeat President Tinubu come 27. While that may be true, at the end of the day, don't you think it? First of all, do you agree with that statement?
That's what?
That there are people in ADC that can defeat Tinubu.
I agree 100%.
Well,
nobody in the world is undefeatable.
Okay.
Nobody in the world is undefeatable.
Now, but let's look at the situation now. We're having issues with the electronic transmission of results, which at the end of the day matters a whole lot. Talking about a power of incumbency in Nigeria, well, Goodluck Jonathan is an exception.
All over the world, incumbency is working against the person in power.
We know.
There's incumbency bias everywhere in the world.
We know, but these other countries have systems in place to avoid unnecessary. In Nigeria, we don't have those systems in place, which make incumbency even 100 times more powerful than other countries.
I don't believe that.
Let's say outside Africa, power of incumbency. We see how Tinubu has been trying very hard to make Nigeria one-party system, either by hook or by crook. Wherever. I mean, 30 governors are under his command, under APC as far as that. At the end of the day, those things matters during elections.
So, and you feel that those 30 governors, there's no moles. You feel those 30 governors, there are no moles.
Okay. So you think there may be APC on paper, but at heart
because it's not everybody that is happy.
A lot of those governors are coming back. A lot of those governors are contesting.
Presidential and governorship happen two weeks apart.
But at the end of the day, the governors still have a role to play. I mean, look at what happened in Rivers State, where, however you think Wike did it, at the end of the day, he gave Rivers State's APC to the president, Tinubu. But you can argue about how he did it, but the point is he did it.
We are talking about capacity to defeat Tinubu. I say that Tinubu is defeatable 100%.
Despite everything against the opposition.
Tinubu is defeatable because, one, he has not delivered on his campaign promises. Has he? Has he delivered?
No, we're not talking about governance here. We're talking about politics.
We should talk about due process.
Talking about
forget the manipulation.
Well, we know Tinubu is not the best when it comes to governance, but we know he's a master strategist when it comes to politics.
According to you.
Not according to me, according to what
and according to those who don't understand this game. I understand it.
Okay.
And that's why I keep on saying he's not a strong candidate.
Okay.
I keep on saying he is not a strong candidate. He is defeatable. If the opposition should unite.
Well, at the end of the day, it all depends on what happens with this.
Tinubu is defeatable if the oppositions should unite and bring out a popular and acceptable candidate. I can send this anywhere.
And who do you think that will be?
Don't ask me that.
Why?
Don't ask me that. I said Tinubu is defeatable if the opposition can unite, can come together and bring up a popular and acceptable candidate for Nigeria.
But you don't want to mention what a popular and acceptable candidate for Nigeria you think that will be.
But these are English words now. Popular, well-known, acceptable, that Nigeria will see as an alternative.
That's why I'm asking
Power still belongs to the people.
Who do you propose that should be?
ADC has a lot of them.
Okay, Peter Obi, Atiku.
You are now mentioning names.
Rotimi Amechi.
You are now mentioning
Those
names.
are the three people that have come out so far from the ADC.
Or there are still more.
Meanwhile, the Senate will hold an emergency plenary session tomorrow well, for now, we don't know what the emergency sitting will be, but it won't be far-fetched to think it's connected to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the reactions that have followed the situation, and of course the protest going on right now. What do you think will come out of that emergency meeting?
One, Nigerians are in the dark. We don't know the reason for their meeting because it was not indicated. But they have seen that Nigerians are not happy with the decisions that they took. Because I know that if there's a free, fair, credible election over 90% of the senators will not return. If there's free, fair, credible election in 2027, over 90% of those senators will not return back to the Senate. Understand? So that's why they are trying to manipulate on the process by saying there will be no electronic transfer of in real time, so that to enable them manipulate, forge,
Sorry.
and do all sorts of nonsense. So the issue is that they are on hot seat now. I thank Senator Engineer Baribe, Natasha, and others, that the minority caucus, for exposing what Akpabio and others did. So they are now on hot seat, and I feel that they may want to do the right thing.
You think they want to do the right thing? I mean, they have a lot to lose. I mean, we already know that most of the times if Nigerian cries don't matter to them. You think that will make any difference, this protest?
Then why do they want to hold an emergency meeting?
It can be something totally unrelated.
That to share to share prayers.
That is possible. You never can tell. Anyway, so meanwhile, the security situation in Nigeria continues unabated. 3 children, the Ebonyi State Police Command confirmed the abduction of 3 children by suspected kidnappers. Apparently the kidnapping happened on Saturday, but it's only now we're starting to get the story. And between age 2 and 4, and similarly, in a Koro community in Ekiti, local government area of Kwara State, there is a current attack going on right now. One person has been confirmed dead so far. Details that are still emerging. Security authorities have yet to release official statements. And what's your take on it?
Well, it shows that Tinubu's security strategies are not working, because at the death of about 176 people in that same state, last Friday or so, Tinubu ordered soldiers to go there. Understand? So does it mean that the soldiers did not obey him, or those people has overwhelmed showing any sign of letting go? They killed over 170 people. Within a week, they have come back again to continue, which means they are not afraid of the soldiers.
Yeah. Now, it's obvious that despite the threats from U.S. President Donald Trump and even the Christmas bombings, little or nothing has changed, which makes me to think, don't you think the U.S. and Donald Trump are not using a good strategy, in the sense that we keep hearing from security agencies that the people in power knows what to do. They know the right people to target if they want to stop this insecurity. It's just a snap of the fingers they can stop. We've also heard about the popular list of terrorism financiers. Don't you think the U.S. should target those people, mount pressure on President? Because we're also hearing for some quarters that somehow Tinubu is afraid of some of these powerful people that are sponsoring this terrorism. That's why he doesn't have the political will to end it. So we're just beating around the bush and beating around the bush. Don't you think the U.S. too is beating around the bush with this bombing instead of going after those people? They can pressure the president to expose that list and those people prosecuted in real time.
Well, the U.S. has just a few soldiers in the country.
Yes.
Because this is not their own war.
Definitely not.
So they will not want to go on all out. And they are going to act on the information the intel that was given to them by the Nigeria security. Understand? So I don't want to believe that Tinubu is afraid of the terrorist
if he's not afraid, then he can do something about it.
I don't want to believe it. And I don't even want to believe that some people are sponsoring them. Understand me?
Okay.
What would they gain? what would they gain by sponsoring this? Okay.
I mean, with the money that has come from banditry, I mean, it has become like maybe after oil, it has become the second most lucrative business in Nigeria.
So an instance, if ransom is paid, they'll go and hand over to one big man. Is that? I don't want to believe that.
So what do you think is going? So you think these rumors of sponsoring terrorism is false?
I don't want to believe that.
You don't believe there are sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria?
I don't want to believe that.
You'll be the first person that will say that.
I don't want to believe that.
Okay, well,
because I always ask myself the motive and the gain.
I mean, there are lots of motives and gain.
An instance, what happened in what happened in Kwara State, where 176 people were killed. Who gained?
Because
no, who gained?
Because we've heard rumors of the origin of the terrorism, where certain people were not happy with the people in power, and then they brought these people from Chad and Niger to help topple the government. And then after they succeeded in toppling the government, they don't know what to do with them, and idle mind, comes in, and then they started creating mayhem. And of course, people have also pointed to the fact that a lot of the big wigs in the north have refused to condemn. I mean, the Muhammadu Buhari administration went largely not even condemning them.
Not condemning is different from sponsoring.
It's enabling, actually.
No.
Which is another form of sponsoring. It doesn't have to be finances.
I'm using that word, sponsoring, bringing your money. For what happened in Kwara State, who gained from it?
Who
gained from it?
Who knows if it's not a business that have gotten out of hand?
No. We should be more mature than this. Just like when they say people sponsoring IPOB, sponsoring Mossab, understand? Nobody is sponsoring all these people. They are doing all that on their own.
So some of the security analysts and some of the big politicians that have come out to say this, you don't believe them?
Well, if they know what I know, they will not be saying this.
So what do you know? Tell us.
If they know what I know, they will not be saying this.
So what do you know? What do you know that a lot of these other people don't know?
There could be negligence, understand? There could be not acting, but bringing out your money to sponsor terrorism to gain what? What will you gain?
Sometimes, how do you analyze the mind of a jihadist or jihadist sympathizer? Sorry about that. Sorry.
Jihad is a different thing.
No, it is not.
Jihad is a different thing. Jihad, you have a mission. Understand me?
Okay.
You want to achieve something. Maybe an Islamic state.
Some will argue that there are different roads to achieving that thing. Sponsoring terrorism is another road to achieving that.
Jihad, you have a mission to achieve something. Understand me?
Okay.
Because when you read of Ottoman Danfodio Jihad of 1903, understand? We know where the areas that they want, just like this Benue, the old Benue state. Understand? Because they were defeated there. And they feel that anywhere that they touch then belongs to them. And that's why what is going on in Benue is going on now. Understand me? Because they feel that part of Plateau and Benue belongs to them as part of the areas that were touched by the jihad. Because Ahmadu Bello talked of dipping the Quran in the Atlantic. Understand me?
Okay.
So, but sponsoring, this one that is happening here, kidnappers taking ransom. You say that they are sponsored. I don't want to agree with that.
Okay. Well, let's end it here, Dr. Anosike. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
That was Peter Anosike, a current affairs analyst. He's also an academic doctor with PhD on consulting and profit management from Brenner University in the state of Delaware, United States. He's the author of the book Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. For a quick look at what's happening outside Nigeria, a rubber boat carrying dozens of people have capsized off the coast of Libya, leaving at least 53 people, including 2 babies, dead or missing. In a statement on Monday, International Organization of Migration (IOM) said the vessel carrying 55 people had overturned north of the coastal city of Zuwara in northwestern Libya on February 6. The IOM said its teams provided the 2 survivors with emergency medical care upon disembarkment in coordination with the relevant authorities. The agency cited the survivors, saying that the boat was carrying refugees and migrants from African countries. It has departed. It had departed from Al-Zawiya in northwestern Libya at about 11 p.m. on February 5 and capsized approximately 6 hours later, it added. According to the IOM's Missing Migrants Project, more than 1,300 people have gone missing in the dangerous central Mediterranean roads in 2025. The latest incident brings the number of refugees and migrants reported dead or missing on the route this year to at least 484. According to the statement, IOM data show that in January alone, at least 375 migrants were reported dead or missing following multiple invincible shipwrecks in the central Mediterranean amid extreme weather, with hundreds more deaths believed to be unrecorded. And finally, on sports, the Seattle Seahawks coasted to Super Bowl victory Sunday, routing the New England Patriots 21-13 as Sam Darnold sealed his journey from flop quarterback to conqueror of the NFL's biggest prize. Brushing off a reputation for wilting in big games, journeyman quarterback Darnold threw for a touchdown and some 200 yards on the grandest stage of all to give the Seahawks their second ever Lombardi trophy. The victory was buoyed by a dominant defensive display and kicker Jason Myers, 5 field goals, the most ever by one player in a Super Bowl. But it was a night to forget for Darnold's counterpart Drake May, who was sacked 6 times and threw 2 interceptions, failing in his bid to become the youngest starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl at 23. Bad Bunny performed at the halftime show singing entirely in Spanish in a Super Bowl first. One of the world's biggest artists, Bad Bunny, has been a vocal critic of Donald Trump's brutal and divisive immigration crackdown. His vibrant show, featuring cameos from Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin, largely avoided politics. That did not stop Trump, who did not attend, taking to social media to dub it an affront to the United States, claiming that no one could understand the performance. And with that, we end the news on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. But before we go here again, our top stories. Peter Obi joins occupied National Assembly protest over e-transmission of election results. A Senate fixes emergency plenary amid debate over e-transmission of results. We also brought a story that Solomon Dalong believes ADC has people who can defeat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. And 3 children abducted in Ebonyi. Police begin investigation. Outside Nigeria, 2 babies among 53 people dead or missing after boat capsized off Libya. And in sports, Seahawks soar to Super Bowl win over Patriots. And that's a wrap on the World News at 12 from Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon Ofem. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903 FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903 FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.